Who can forget the summer of 2005? E. Mochizuki, the chief of engineering at Suzuki Motor Corporation, had come down for the launch of the Maruti Swift in India. E. Mochizuki is referred to as the father of the Swift. From Mochizuki to C.V. Raman, the chief of engineering in Maruti Suzuki, the Swift has come a long way. From 2005 to now 2018. The Swift has radically changed, and this is the Maruti Suzuki Swift. We are going to talk about this new Swift, and to help me out judge this vehicle would be an expert in the automotive industry, Tutu Dhawan. So Tutu, now how does it look? I mean, you take a look at it and how would you describe it? You know, it's pretty looking, it's chunky looking. What would you say? It's definitely a lot smarter.
Yes, definitely it's very smart, and it's a upgraded version now of the Swift, the old Swift. And according to new technology, new aerodynamics and all the goodies that you get, they've all been incorporated into this car now.
The looks of the Swift are chic and suave. The new third generation model carries forward a very radical attitude embodied in the generations of the Swift that came before. This new model comes with a very curvy and saucy design. Its facade features a bold bumper with a distinct single aperture grille that houses horizontal slats. The front features angular headlamps with LED DRLs and projector headlamps with a follow me home function, but these are unfortunately only available with top spec models. The side gets a floating roof design and a curvy beltline with a flowing architecture, while the rear gets contemporary looking tail lamps and has an overall smart look. The Swift gets a decent ground clearance of 163 mm. These figures are according to new ARAI standards, and we found the hatch to clear most common undulations and bumps that we face on Indian roads. It is also interesting to note that the wheelbase of the new Swift has gone up by 20 mm. This means more legroom, and that is pretty evident. The width of the hatch has also gone up by 40 mm. The boot space has increased by about 58 liters.
They say it's kind of a floating roof look, you know, I don't know, but...
No, this is actually, to naked eye you may not find any difference, okay. But to the aerodynamics of this car, it's definitely more aerodynamic. You can see the slant is more.
Okay.
And obviously, you know, it'll affect the fuel economy, or, you know, while if you are doing long distances. Okay. And as you would also notice, you know, they have moved the rear doors, grab handles up into the hiding, so it gives you a little more aerodynamics.
Okay, so now this is inside.
Yes, okay. Now this is inside.
Okay.
No matter, I mean, it may be just an inch or two to sticking out, but it still gives you resistance.
The cabin of the Swift has been inspired by the design of a cockpit and feels quite modish. The qualities of materials used in this cabin are solid and feel well bolted. Seating inside this cabin as well is quite comfortable, with the seats in front providing adequate bolstering. The driver's seat is nice and broad. It renders ample of back support, lumbar support and under thigh support. The front shoulder room in this hatch has also increased by 23 mm, while the rear shoulder room has gone up by 8 mm.
This was always a comfortable car, there is no doubt about it. But the increase is not that you can really start stretching yourself out. Yes, it starts becoming a little comfortable, especially, you know, when you are doing long distances and you have a family around, children jumping around at the back. So there's a little more of freedom.
And at least as a co-passenger, I feel, you know, the seats are also a lot, you know, more comfortable. I have a Swift, and those were a little plain, and this is quite a lot of bolsters, a lot of support.
This is not typically a sporty seat they have given you, and this is the typical copy of a Recaro, I would say, you know, giving you kidney support and also, you know, head restraint and everything, and even your thigh support is very good. I think this sort of gives you confidence, you know, if you are doing some high-speed driving.
The rear bench is rather flat and provides good back support and under thigh support. A comfortable seating of 3 adults in the rear is also possible, with the floor tunnel not being too intrusive. Overall visibility and roomy feeling in the rear section is decent but not too great. On the features front as well, the Swift comes fully loaded with kit. The top features on the list include a SmartPlay infotainment setup with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, navigation and voice commands. You also get USB aux and Bluetooth connectivity options. Other features include electrically adjustable and retractable ORVMs, keyless entry and push button start-stop, electromagnetic back door opener, height adjustable driver seat belt, gear shift indicator, 60/40 split for the rear seat, luggage room lamp, multi-information display, automatic climate control, tilt but not telescopic steering, and automatic headlamps with a lead me home function as well. The new Swift also gets a reverse parking camera and sensors. Maruti has also added a pinch guard driver's side power window. The Swift coming to India only gets dual front airbags as opposed to the Eurospec version which gets a total of 6 airbags. It also comes with ABS and EBD with brake assist, all of which are being offered as standard. Maruti has also ensured the new Swift gets pedestrian protection compliance along with frontal offset and side impact regulation compliance. The new third generation Swift is being offered with two powertrain options, a 1197cc 4-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol and a 1248cc Fiat-sourced 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine. These are the same ones found on the Dzire sedan. Maruti is also offering the Swift with the option of an automatic transmission which comes in the form of their AGS auto gear shift technology. The petrol-powered 1.2-litre engine puts out a neat 85 bhp of power high up in the band at 6000 rpm. The revs build up in a very linear manner and the high revving nature of the engine renders a very sporty and thrilling drive experience. This 1.2-litre petrol motor churns out 140 Nm of torque which comes in the mid-range at 4000 rpm. If a burst of power is what you're looking for, then this petrol motor is not going to rock your boat. It feels more refined and one needs to wait a bit for the revs to build up. The petrol motor has been mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox which is as crisp as biting into a Dorito. The gears slot quite easily and the clutch is light, making it fun to drive. The automatic, however, is a different case altogether, with the gearbox taking a wee bit of time to downshift when power is demanded. The AGS otherwise is quite happy ambling around at low speeds. You also get the option of shifting manually with the AGS, and the transmission while driving manually responds more accurately. The diesel-powered 1.3-litre engine is in another league altogether. This turbocharged diesel engine comes mated to a 5-speed transmission which is a gem to drive and really puts a T in thrilling. The engine puts out 74 bhp at 4000 rpm and 190 Nm of torque at 2000 rpm. It takes a wee bit of time to get going, but once the turbo spool kicks in, a jolt of force will throw you back in your seat as the car surges forward. The meat of the power in this engine lies higher up in the band, but getting there is not too tough. This engine mated to the 5-speed manual gearbox is sporty to drive, but it also means you may end up shifting gears more often than you would in its petrol counterpart. The diesel motor is quick through the first 3 gears and cruising on the 4th and 5th gears is quite a treat. The gearbox, I must mention, is nice and crisp, but here the characteristics of the AGS do change. The diesel mill mated to this auto does feel a little more lively than its petrol counterpart. The lag, however, is still quite apparent and only fades away once you reach higher gears. For city commuting, the diesel automatic is an ideal option and is quite happy cruising at city speeds with gear shifting more subtly than you would expect.
You seem to be enjoying your drive, you know.
Yeah, I think.
And it's a diesel.
Yeah, it's a diesel and you really can't make out.
So it's quite a silent engine.
Oh, very silent. I mean, really, one can get fooled. Now I'm driving in the 5th gear and we've almost at 60 kilometers and it really takes off well.
Notice that the steering wheel also has got a flatter end here.
Yes,
it's very sporty.
Very sporty, typical, you know, with a thumb grip also. As you can see, you can really cruise easily.
The new Swift has been built on the 5th generation Hardtech platform, which improves the hatchback's strength and rigidity, also benefiting its power to weight ratio. The Swift rides on a mildly soft suspension which has been set up well to take on the varying Indian road conditions. It takes care of most bumps and jolts rather easily and provides a comfy ride inside the cabin. The suspension and chassis also cater to a balanced and controlled ride, rendering confidence even at higher speeds. Braking is facilitated by a disc brake setup in the front and a drum brake in the rear. The brakes are progressive and effective.
If I were to sum up my impressions on the 4 different variants of the new Maruti Swift which I drove for the last 2 days between the stretch of Pune and Lonavala, I must tell you that the diesel manual is perhaps the peppiest of the lot. It drove pretty smooth. When I tried my hands on the petrol automatic, I was a tad disappointed because there was a huge lag in power, and as it automatically shifted from the first gear to the second, and as it went on, there was tremendous lag. It was no fun driving. But remember, it is an automated manual transmission. In fact, it's not one of those very expensive ones which you find in those upmarket cars. The Swift being a very entry-level car, they have this AMT facility, which of course is a lot cheaper to maintain and does its job. The third car which I drove was the diesel AMT, and that was far better, I felt, than the petrol AMT. So it was a tad more peppier and it took off, especially as we climbed to the hills of Lonavala. It did a fine job and it accelerated pretty well. Now on my way back, I finally am driving the petrol manual, and of course the petrol manual is a smooth vehicle. The engine is pretty smooth and the gear shifts are also equally smooth. What I did not like too much about all the 4 variants is when it comes to the steering. The steering is chunkier definitely and a very good looker, but it is too light. I wish it had a little more feedback from the road. So I guess it's all about tuning. The rest, as I've described earlier, the 3rd generation Swift is a lot contemporary than the first 2. I have been driving the one which was launched in 2005 and I found it a very practical car. But now jumping onto this new avatar of the Swift, I feel it's come a long way, and the engineers at Maruti Suzuki have done a beautiful job. For the middle class which in this country which depends on an affordable car, this is perhaps a gem of sorts. You know, you cannot obviously compare it to some of the very upmarket cars, but in its category and in its segment, it's a winner. And I'm sure the company has a winner in its hands. If I have to rate the 4 cars in terms of my preference, the way I love to drive it and feel a car, I would say the diesel manual is my favorite of the 4, and then obviously comes the petrol manual, the diesel automatic, and lastly the petrol automatic. I hope you've liked this video of the all-new Maruti Suzuki Swift. If yes, please do not forget to like and share, and most important, if you're not subscribed to the Motown India channel, do so now. My name is P.Tharyan, and till the next time, drive safe and most important, always belt up.